Hi everyone, I hope my voice is audible and my screen is visible. Can any one of you please confirm in the chat box or you can unmute and tell me?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the confirmation. Yeah, welcome to this course on Docker and Kubernetes. In yesterday's class, we have seen what was the setup before the invention of the containers and how the software industry invented this container technology and solved its problem. And we have seen that launching the virtual machines with Hyper-V is time taking, and over that, the containers is having the advantage of speeding up of booting time and the image size and everything. Okay, we will see that practically. uh, Once you see practically, then only you will understand that how faster the containers can be launched. Okay, so it's a Docker and Kubernetes course. Here, Docker is a containerization tool. Docker is a containerization tool. Containerization tool. What is containerization? The process of containerization, because these are important and basic terms. I want to write them here. Containerization means the process of creating containers is called as what? Containerization. What is container then? Container is an empty box in general world. If you go to shipping industry or if you go to road transport or airways or railways, container is an empty box inside which some material will be put so that it will be isolated from the other material. In software industry also, container is an empty box kind of thing where application will be put inside of it and it will be run. So that means we will containerize an application. For example, Jenkins, you can install Jenkins in your Ubuntu machine, but you can containerize the same thing. So containerization is the process of creating containers. Then what is container? Container is running instance of a Docker image. Okay, again, one more term. What is it? Container is running instance of a Docker image. What is Docker image? Docker image is nothing but the application along with its dependencies. Application along with its dependencies. For example, if you take Jenkins, the dependency for Jenkins is Java. If you take Flask application, for that Python will be a dependency. So generally, if we want to run Jenkins in our Ubuntu machine, what are the steps that we will do? Installing Jenkins in Ubuntu. It's already there here. So I'm going to the official documentation of this. I'm choosing Ubuntu. So the prerequisite site to install Jenkins is, so these are the minimum hardware requirements. And after that, these are the software requirements. The Java should be installed in that machine. Then only Jenkins can be installed because Jenkins is a Java based automation tool. And once Java is installed, we need to execute these commands. These many commands we need to execute. There is no guarantee that Java will be successfully installed. Even if it is installed, there is no guarantee that the version of the Java that we are installing is consistent with the Jenkins that we are going to install. All these problems are there. Even if you run all these commands, there is no guarantee that Jenkins will be successfully installed. There is always a possibility for failure. So the same thing what I will do is I will containerize it. To containerize it means we need to run this Jenkins in an isolated environment. That isolated environment is nothing but what? Container. How to create that container? To create a container, we need to have image for it. For example, if you want to install Ubuntu operating system in your hardware, we need to have the Ubuntu image, that ISO file, which will be about 2.5 GB in size. So that is image. Once we install and run it, then that is called as what? The virtual machine or the operating system, and different terms you can use, even though they are not proper to use. Okay, so an Ubuntu machine will be up and running. So that is an instance. That is an instance, and that instance is launched from the image. Likewise, container can also be thought as a virtual machine, a lightweight virtual machine. To run that virtual machine, we need to have image for that. And that image is nothing but package of the application along with its dependencies. You will understand this more clearly when we are containerizing many applications using Docker file. So simply what we will do is all these things will be put inside a box and we will run it. And the same box can be deployed in QA environment or production environment if it is successfully running in the dev machine. Okay, so I hope that you know how to install Jenkins. For that, we need to have this hardware requirement and Java has to be installed. Then we need to execute these commands. And all these things will definitely take 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, just to boot up the operating system and to install it afresh, it will take more than 30 minutes. But using containers, how to launch Jenkins, I will tell you now. So before going to that, I just wanted to show you the image. See, this is the infrastructure. We have the operating system and we have the Docker installed in this. So I think I haven't explained this much. I have to explain this very clearly. See, this is, I don't know
Sir,
whether
I
to
have here
write.
one question.
Yeah,
So this is which class, sir? Class number?
this is second class.
We already paid something, but why they are putting again the same class, sir?
Oh, you attended for 8 p.m. class, right?
Yeah, 8 p.m. class we attended, but for payment also paid. But last week it was cancelled. We received a mail that no more classes, only from Monday.
Yeah, so that's the reason they have conducted it. So from yesterday, the classes are happening. So you can call that admin people and you can ask them, right? Okay.
Nobody responding, sir. Before payment, they are calling me every time. After getting payment, nobody attending call properly and responding.
Oh, I will let them know. Okay. Is it not comfortable for you if it is 9 p.m.? What they
No, no,
concluded is
it
that,
is comfortable, but they are not communicating properly which time class and what is when
okay.
it's going to start.
So according to the information that I have, so you will be there in this 9 p.m. class only. So So what they thought is that at 8 p.m. most of the students are not comfortable because that is the time when they come from the office. So if it is 9 p.m., everybody will be available. So that's the feedback they got. So that's the reason they have changed that to 9 p.m. Okay.
Okay,
So please
okay, sir.
adjust.
If this class will continue, right? Because
Yes, you will be
I,
there in this batch. This will be continued.
okay, I'm working in support project, so I will also change my time accordingly. So that's what.
Yeah, okay. You will be continued in this 9 to 10 p.m. class only. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, this thing I need to explain more. So then only I need to go to the next thing. So here, this is infrastructure. That means it will be having some CPU, memory, and disk. And here we have the operating system kernel. Let's suppose that this is Ubuntu operating system. In that we are installing container runtime, and in our case it is Docker. There are many container runtimes exist in the market, and there is no doubt that Docker is the famous one and it grabbed the most of the market. So the container runtime in our case is Docker. The Docker has to be installed, and here this is a container. This container is pinned up, and I told we don't need to allocate the resources for this container upfront. That means we don't need to just tell this container should be using 4 GB. Okay, that is not a mandatory in this. But here in this case, we need to dedicate the resources upfront before creating the instance. And this is not the case. And here we are installing the in the virtual machine, we have the full-fledged operating system. But in case of containers, we have eliminated the need for installing the full-fledged operating system. That's the reason containers are super fast in launching. So within seconds, containers will be up to bring this virtual machine. In the case of hypervisor, it takes minimum 30 minutes based on the operating system that you are launching. But in this case, it is less than 2 or 3 seconds only. You will be witnessing that. So the major change from this to here is, in the case of containers, we have eliminated the need for installing full-fledged operating system. If that is the case, then how the containers will be running? The containers will be using the underlying operating system kernel. Okay, so here every virtual machine has its own operating system kernel, but in case of containers, every container will be using the underlying operating system kernel. And here one point is, for example, there is an application one. We are trying to launch this application. We are trying to run this application in the host operating system. If it is failed in the host operating system, we can't containerize it. Why? Because containers will be using the underlying operating system kernel. So if the underlying operating system itself is not able to run this application one, this container won't be able to run this. Okay, that is one point. So in other words, containers are not superpowers with regard to the host operating system. Container can run an application which is runnable in the host operating system. That means if application 1 is runnable in this particular host operating system, that can be run inside the container. If the application is not runnable in the host operating system, that can't be running in the container. That is one point. And in DevOps, we will be using the Linux based containers. And for that, we need to have this Linux operating system. But what if your host operating system is Windows? For Windows also, we have the Docker that is called as Docker Desktop. When we install Docker Desktop, just by installing the Docker Desktop, we can't run the containers. Once we install the Docker Desktop, we can't run the containers. Why? Because the operating system kernel is of Windows, but our containers are Linux based containers. How? How? They can't utilize the Windows operating system kernel. So if you want to install Docker in your Windows machine, along with the Docker desktop, we need to install Windows subsystem for Linux. And that subsystem for Linux will be utilized by the containers. Okay, but don't worry about the Windows thing. That will work as smooth as if you are running the contents in Ubuntu. So, but we will be strictly using the Ubuntu operating system because in DevOps we will be using the Linux operating systems, right? So that is the thing I wanted to tell you. And the machine in which Docker is installed is called as what? Docker host. What it is? The machine in which Docker is installed is called as what? Docker host. Docker host is nothing but the machine in which Docker is installed. If you take an Ubuntu operating system and if we install Docker in that, we can call that machine as Docker host. As you are telling like you can't hear anything. Now the time is 9:18. We have started the class at 9. So all this time you didn't hear me, and I think it is problem from your side, Ashish. Please rejoin the call. Okay, rejoin the meeting. Thank you. Yesterday also we have faced the same issue. I think some issue with your earphones or some your hardware. Please check it. Thank you. So now first we need to install Docker. The machine in which Docker is installed is called as what? Docker host. And to run the containers in the Docker host, we need to have the Docker image for that. Docker image is nothing but it's a package. It's a file which consists of application along with its dependencies. For example, it consists of Jenkins along with its dependencies. They are together packed. And it's a file and that is called as Docker image. The Docker image is a file, but once we run that file, that means if we execute that file, then that is called as container. Once the Docker image is executed or when it is run, then that is called as what? Container. So what we said is to run the container, we need to have the Docker image where these Docker images will be available. The Docker images will be stored in some central server called as container registry. Container registry is nothing but a central server, where container images are stored. Okay. For example, if we have the source code, where the source code will be saved, it will be stored or saved in the repositories. For example, GitHub or Bitbucket. Like that, the images from which we want to run the containers, those images will be stored in some central server called as container registries. Okay, so in container registry, what will be stored? Container images are stored. Images are also nothing but, yeah, Manadeep, you will understand what's the difference between container and image. Image is nothing but a file which consists of the application along with its dependencies. This is just a file. For example, you want to install some application in your system. For that, you will download that file first. That file is nothing but you can think of image. Then to install it, what you will do, you will double click on that, okay, and you will perform the installation steps. After that, it will be running. That stage, you can call it as container, right? So container is nothing but running state of the Docker image. Okay, so no worries. Going forward, you will understand more clearly. And all these Docker images will be stored in some central server called as container registry. And the default container registry is Docker Hub. Docker Hub. Okay, so you will see that. Now, first what we'll do is let's install Docker. For that, we need to get Ubuntu machine or any kind of machine. So what I will do is I will go to my AWS account, aws.amazon.com, because I want to install Docker in the Ubuntu machine because that's what we do in the real time. So instead of installing the Docker in my Windows machine, I want to get some cloud-based Ubuntu machine and I want to install Docker in that. So this is my email address I have provided, and here I need to provide the password. Okay, Manadeep, if you don't know AWS, that is fine. First, have an account with AWS. For that, you need just an email address and debit card or credit card with international transactions enabled. If we have those two things, then you can easily create the AWS account. So once AWS account is created, this is the home page that you may be getting. These are recently visited service. Go to services. I'm in Mumbai region. If you are aware, AWS also launched Hyderabad region recently 1 month back. So click on services here. Click on compute. Okay. If you click on compute here, you will see EC2, which is virtual servers in the cloud. So click on this. What I'm trying to do is I want to get some Ubuntu machine from the AWS cloud. So once you click on EC2, which stands for Elastic Compute Cloud, this is beyond our Docker and Kubernetes, but I just wanted to tell you how to get an Ubuntu machine from the AWS. So this is called as EC2 dashboard, and click on instances here or here. Click on this. See, there are no instances in my Mumbai region. So this is the instances section. Click on launch instances. The people who already know these things, maybe boring for them, but for others I need to teach this. Okay, so I'm going to install Docker in this machine, so that's why I'm simply naming it as Docker host. Or if it is for dev, in real time we will be writing like Docker dev. Then I want to choose Ubuntu operating system. First give the name, it is up to you. Then we need to select the AMI. For that, we are selecting the Ubuntu. And in this, if you click on this, different AMIs will be shown. And I want to select the Ubuntu server 20.04. right? This is free tier eligible, but my account is not free tier account. It is pay as you go account. That is fine for me. Then based on your workload, you need to choose the type of instance. And because this is our first class and we are not going to launch many containers, T2.micro is sufficient for that. So I'm using this. Then after that, create new key pair. Okay, it will create the key pair, SSH key pair. So for that, I'm naming this as Docker KP, any name you can give friends, any format. So I'm naming it as, let's name it as May June, or else let's give 16th May. Okay, so like that I'm giving. Okay, just keep this RSA by default, and I want to just download pen key only. Create keep it. It will be downloaded into your download section. Then after that, so this up to this it is over. And if you want to launch this in your own VPC and you can choose it, but I want to just use the default VPC and select existing security group. And I want to choose the default security group. Okay, what is security group? That you should learn as part of AWS. Just I'm going with the steps that are just needed to get some Ubuntu machine. Okay, and if you want to learn fully, then uh, you have to learn AWS and particularly EC2. So we have chosen default security group, and after that keep everything default. Okay, and click on launch instance and go here view all instances. This is in pending state. In 3 or 4 minutes this instance will be up and running for us. And there this is there in the AWS cloud. That machine will be created in some Mumbai data center of AWS cloud. Okay, so this is the thing that we have created. And how to connect from our local machine to this remote machine. This is our local machine and this is a remote machine. How to connect from here to here? For that we have different SSH clients, and if you are not aware, we have one of such SSH client is MobaXterm. You may be aware of Putty, but MobaXterm is very friendly. How to install MobaXterm? For that, go to our documentation. This theory you can learn, friends. Uh, go to our documentation. Just go to this URL. Go to this URL. So click on this. With this, zip file will be downloaded. Once you extract the zip, in that MobaXterm executable file will be there with this icon. Okay, you just have to double click on that. Once the zip is downloaded, you need to just double click on that. Once you double click on that, the MobaXterm will be opened like this. MobaXterm will be open. So this is the MobaXterm. I think we are able to see it. Yeah, we're able to see it. This is the MobaXterm. How to install it? You just have to go to that URL, click on that particular thing, and this one. Zip will be downloaded. Extract the zip. In that MobaXterm executable file will be there with this kind of icon. Then after that, you just have to double click on that. If you double click on that, this will be open. This is MobaXterm. Then click on session. What is this MobaXterm? I just wanted to connect to this remote machine from my local. So for that, we need to have the SSH client, and mobile XTERM is one of the beautiful tool to connect to the remote machines. Now, how to connect to it by using mobile XTERM? So for that, click on session here. Before going to that, click on settings here, click on SSH. You need to check this SSH keep alive. Otherwise, your session will be expired when you are not using. So make sure that when you install it, it will be like this. Click on this. Okay, check this box. And we are enabling SSH keep alive. Close it. Then click on session now. Click on SSH. Then what you need to do? Where is our remote machine? It is there in the AWS cloud. So this is, click on this particular instance ID. Here you will be having public IP address. Okay. So in the case of remote host, give that public IP address and check this specify username. What is the username for that machine? So that is, click on connect here. If you see the username is Ubuntu, give that username here. Okay, and the port for SSH is by default it is 22. It will be populated here by default. Then we need to upload the PEM key which we have downloaded while launching the instance. So for that, click on advanced SSH settings here. First, we need to provide the IP address and then username by checking this, and the port will be by default to 22. Click on advanced SSH settings and click on this use private key. Then click on this browse button, click on it, then go to uh, go to downloads. Okay, if you click on downloads, that file I have browsed it. Okay, this is the file docker kp16 pim. This is the name that we have given to the pim key. Click on OK. If everything goes fine, we need to be successfully connected to the remote machine. So this is the SSH browser. In case of PuTTY, you don't have this option, but in case of mobile XTERM, you can browse your file system of the remote machine. Click on this, close it, and if you want to maximize this, just press Ctrl and scroll up. Okay, so the font will be enlarged. So we are successfully connected to the Ubuntu machine, which is created in the AWS cloud. Then why we have created this? Because to install Docker, we have created this. How to install Docker? For that, simply go to our documentation, our notes. Okay, see, these are the steps. First, go to root account. Okay, sudo su-, then use this command. What this command will do is, here in this, the Docker script installation script will be there from the Docker itself, and we are getting the output in this get Docker sh file. We are copying this content into this. Okay, once you click on it, here this get docker.sh file is created, and in that the script to install Docker will be there. Then after that, how to execute that shell file? We know already. We need to use sh or bash or anything and use it. We execute that shell script, then Docker will be installed. Let's wait for it. Docker is being installed. We have chosen very small machine in the sense which is having very less CPU, one virtual CPU and 1 GB of memory. So the next class we need to take some higher machine. See, Docker is installed. Docker will be installed in this machine. Okay, in this machine, Docker is installed. How to interact with the Docker engine? How to interact with the code Docker? To interact with the Docker, we need to have the CLI, command line interface. For that, Docker CLI will be there and that will be installed by default when the Docker is installed. So let me check the version Docker hyphen version. See, Docker is installed and it is showing the version also. Now Docker help also you can use. Will give the commands and everything, right? Docker is successfully installed. Then how to create a container? To create a container, what we need to have? We need to have the image first. And as I said, where will be the images will be residing? Images will be residing in the Docker Hub, hub.docker.com, hub.docker.com. So this is a public container registry provided by the Docker itself, the Docker community. Now, initially to pull the images or to download the images from the Docker Hub, you don't need to have account with the Docker. You can freely download them. To upload to this Docker Hub, we need to have account here. And you can have free account also that you will learn during the container registry section. Now, I just wanted to search for Jenkins. See, I just searched for Jenkins and see this is the Jenkins and it is deprecated. Instead of using that, let's go for another thing. You will understand how the images will be tagged and everything in tag section. This is Jenkins official Docker image. This is not the container. This is the Docker image for the Jenkins. If I click on it, the details of this will be given in this. Okay, so you can click on this documentation here. And if you click on the documentation here, it will tell the details of the Jenkins, which version of the Jenkins and which version of the thing is installed in this. So this Jenkins image is nothing but the Jenkins application along with its dependencies packed together. Okay, so now I just wanted to run the container from the Jenkins image. To run the container, we need to download this Jenkins image into our Docker host. So for that, how to download this? If you click on this, the command itself is provided here. Docker pull Jenkins slash Jenkins. Jenkins slash Jenkins is the image name. Okay, so I just have to copy this and paste it here. Now what we are trying to do, we are trying to download the Jenkins container image. Once the image is downloaded, we have to execute this. Once that is executed, and when it is in running state, that is called as what? Container. Now Jenkins is pulled. You will come to know what are all these things. These are called as layers. Now I wanted to check what are the images that are downloaded into our Docker host. For that, we have a command called Docker images. Docker images or Docker image ls. Both the commands will give the same output. Docker image ls or Docker images. We put this, see, we have only Jenkins image in our host machine, and the image ID for that is this thing which will be assigned by the Docker. It is saying created. What is created? This image is created 3 hours ago, but that's not correct. It was updated about 3 hours ago. Okay, so where it was updated, and if you see, yeah, it was said like 2 hours ago it was updated. Okay, but here it is showing like 3 days ago, 3 days or 3 hours, 3 hours. Okay, 3 hours ago also it was updated. So that's what it was shown. Okay, it's not created, it should be updated. They must be giving here created slash or updated like that, but they haven't provided so. Now, if you see what is the size of this image, it is 466 MB in size. And what it will contain the Jenkins application along with its dependencies. For example, Java. The Jenkins image is downloaded. This is not the container, this is the image. How to launch the container from it? For that, we need to execute this image. Docker run, or generally it is Docker container run, but we don't need to mention container. Directly we can give run. I want to run container container from from which image, this T and everything I will tell you, or else let's ignore that. I want to run the container from uh, let me do one thing, friends. 8080. This is port mapping. I will tell you what it is, but simply I'm trying to tell you how to launch the Jenkins in the container, how quickly we can achieve it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Docker run, this port mapping I will tell you, and we need to provide the image. What's the image name? This is the image. Okay, so what it means is we are trying to, I'm not explaining this command fully. I just wanted to show you how quickly we can launch the application using container. Okay, so forget about what is this command and all. I'm just trying to install Jenkins. See, Jenkins is up. Jenkins is running now. It is running. How much time it took? It took less than 1 minute itself. Okay, immediately we execute this command. Jenkins is up. Have we installed Java in our host machine? No, that Java is already present in that particular image, which we have downloaded from the Docker Hub. So we have executed that image. Now from that container is created. And in that container, what will be running? The Jenkins application will be running. Okay. Now, how to access this Jenkins application? For that, copy the public IP address and the port is 8080. See, Jenkins is up and running. I will ping the same thing in our chat box also. Please, any one of you try and let me know whether you are able to access my Jenkins or not. I have provided it in the chart, the IP address, and administrator password. It will be coming in the logs. You have to give that. This is the password. Okay. Yes, Shibas is able to access my Jenkins. Anybody in the world should able to access my Jenkins, provided that they have my IP address. Okay, and many others are also able to access. How quickly we are able to run Jenkins using the container. But without container, what is the procedure? First, you need to install Java, and after that, you need to perform these steps. And there is no guarantee that the Jenkins will be smoothly running once you perform all these things, right? So that is the beauty of the containers. So in no time, we are able to launch the application. For example, if I want to launch So what command I have pressed and all those things you will be learning. I just wanted to uh, give you a feeling how containers will be super fast. Okay. So here I want to run nginx docker run. So for that we need to have the nginx image. Docker pull nginx. First, the nginx image has to be downloaded from the Docker hub, right? Now, how to run the container from this? Docker run. The image has to be provided. So it means we want to run the container from this image. This run command and other options we will be learning going forward. Okay, just I'm roughly telling what we are trying to do. So here, mm, let me use 9090 and the port of the Nginx is 80. We will come to know what this port mapping and all. So here I want to copy this IP address and what's the port that we have used 909. See, Nginx is accessible. How much time it took? Within no time, within almost no time, we are able to access Nginx. So I have given the IP address in the chat box. You can also able to access my Nginx. How rapidly, how quickly, how fast we are able to run the application by using container, right? And all these applications are running in isolation inside the containers. Okay, we can kill the container. That means the application will also be killed. So inside the boxes called as containers, we are running the applications, and all these containers are running in the same host and they are utilizing the same resources, but they are running the different applications. And in Kubernetes, we will play with the orchestration of the containers in a distributed environment. Okay, so that's all for today, friends. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I just want to wind up this session little early today. Okay, and for the new folks we have joined today, I just wanted to brief you about the course details. The course name is Docker and Kubernetes. No prerequisites are needed. So better to have some cloud knowledge. That's also fine. I have already told you the steps how to create uh, uh, Ubuntu machine. Manadeep is asking some questions. Credit card enable charges if you credit card. So first, when you give the credit card, it won't be charged first. Okay, for 1 year you will be freely allowed to use some resources based on some restrictions. You need to use some type of machines only. For example, if you go to EC2, you can use only T2.micro. That too for certain amount of hours. Okay, there are rules will be there. So please go through that. Yes, Shiba says recordings will be provided. You can always watch the recording. Okay, so the immediately the recording will be uploaded within 24 hours, and they will be uploaded to the Google Drive. So for this course, no prerequisites are required. The duration of this course is 45 days, and the classes will be from Monday to Saturday. Timings will be 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. 10 p.m. IST. Okay. Course fee is what you will be getting is 4,000 INR. Okay. Then you will be getting the live classes plus recordings plus notes. All those things you will be getting. Okay, that's all for today, friends. Sir, will you tell you how to Docker? Yeah, I will tell you how to Dockerize the Java applications. Okay, we have the concept of Docker file. There we will understand the beauty of this container and the images. And one more thing, friends, tomorrow and day after tomorrow, I'm not available. I'm traveling to Bangalore because my client is visiting the office. I need to attend some meeting. So only tomorrow and day after tomorrow, class won't be there, friends. Okay. So sorry from my side. Even just immediately after two classes, there is a break. Sorry for that. We will be continuing our class uh, on Friday. Okay, I will take class again on Friday. There is no doubt on that. Okay, Wednesday and Thursday we won't be having the class. Pardon me for that.
Sir, could you please tell the administration people for clump this 8 p.m. batch to this batch?
Yeah, I will tell you. Okay, I will tell them. I will tell them, and you can continue here. Okay, nobody will do anything. Okay, they have
Yes,
planned so.
because they
Yeah.
people are not receiving the calls from outside and they were
Okay,
not
okay.
responding the emails as well. That's why
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
asking.
Okay, okay, no issues. And Friday and Saturday also you will be having the same link. Okay, from Monday onwards, link will be changed, and you don't need to worry about that. 8 p.m. people, you can happily attend, and I will tell them on Monday you will also be getting the new link. Okay,
Sure,
okay,
sir.
friends.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, friends,
Thank
I
you.
won't be available tomorrow and day after tomorrow. We will be meeting again on Friday. Okay, that's all for today, friends. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.